I can see how that would translate into a positive.
Higher ratings. Mikey, we have a technical difficulty, but as the true troopers that we are working with the technical difficulty. Very good Wednesday morning to you. He's Michael Knight down in Pasadena.
He is the amazing New York Vinnie. He's in Seattle, Washington. And on our screen today, instead of seeing our Shayna Punnams, what you've got is a flag made up of silver, golden, blue, red, and white Corvettes taken from a great altitude.
Yeah, this and I've had this shot so long. I happen to know that it's not a drone shot. Somebody actually went up in a helicopter and shot this thing in the
Pre-drone.
old days when you had to go up in a helicopter to shoot something like this.
Well,
But
I love the picture, and I changed my mind. I said I wanted a white one. I think I'll go with a gray one, a silver one.
yeah, I'm not much for silver Corvettes. I'm always a white fan, really. I just find I've had the blues are okay, a little too dark for me, but reds. I've just never been a red Corvette fan either. White really does it for me in a Corvette, unless there's one blue color. But I'll tell you what color really I really love in a Corvette. In the Stingray, the 63 to 67s, there's I think they call it Goodwood Green. With a saddle interior. Man, that is a beautiful car.
Well, I'll take a Stingray anytime. Pick a year anywhere there in the great Stingray years, and I'll be very happy with my car. And you can make it any color you want as long as it's a Sting.
Exactly. There's nothing wrong with a Stingray. Nothing wrong with life that a Stingray will not cure.
You were in Seattle last night, which was the center of baseball's attention because of the All-Star game. And it turned out to be kind of an interesting game because the National League hasn't won since Harry Truman was a shortstop.
Yeah, I thought they had snuck a win in there somewhere. And believe it or not, it was I didn't really, realize that the National League was that bad, but the reality is it doesn't matter anymore.
How come?
Well, they don't. For many years, Bud Selig came up with the bright idea of the winner of the All-Star game got home field advantage, got to play the 4 games at home, and they stopped doing that. So they gave, before they did that, in many years gone by, when we were kids, when we were younger, the National League and the American League truly were rivals.
And they didn't face each other. I mean, they were facing Bob Gibson for the first time in some cases. Try that at home.
Right. I mean, and they both pitchers had a hit in both, and it was, it was a game. It was something to see. I mean, this really. Again, I love the All-Star game, or I've loved it. I've been to many of them, and it's just something that I've always liked. And the game was good this time, but again, it doesn't have. It was a good baseball game. It wasn't. Larry Stone nails it. The All-Star game has plenty to remember, but nothing that was unforgettable.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you some of the things that will be forgotten by the managers of their home teams. The Blue Jays' Vladimir Guerrero, who won the home run contest, suffered leg cramps and said he could hardly walk after batting so many home runs into the stands. Yes, he did win, but he paid for it physically, as did the White Sox center fielder Luis Robert, who has leg injuries to his calf from the home run hitting contest. And pitcher Julian Romano of the Blue Jays, he's a closer, and he hurt himself on the mound during the game. So top of the line pitchers and batters who went out of their way to put on a great show paid for it ultimately with injuries that could haunt them for the rest of the season. This is something that I know they didn't count on and don't like to advertise, but it hurts that team, Vinnie, and it hurts the individual. And of course, it hurts the fans You can imagine being a Met fan and having Don Clendenin getting injured in the All-Star game for what?
Well,
For,
if they get injured in the game, I don't mind it as much, because they got injured playing the game. But I remember distinctly that the home run derby, when Junior used to go and participate in the home run derby, he used to come back from that thing, and his swing always to me looked off for a
yeah,
couple of weeks after the home
good
run
point.
derby.
Good point.
And I just always thought that he went there. Junior was a guy who got Ken Griffey Jr. We're talking about. He got into the box looking to make something happen. And when he got into the box for the home run derby, he was looking to hit home runs. And so he's swinging for the fences on every pitch. And, you know, so much of hitting a baseball is about timing and all the different things that a hitter has to do. And if you take a hitter out of that for even one night, it takes some time to get back into it.
It's funny that Guerrero, who's a big man, cited the fact that his legs were killing him. And take a look at his swing or any swing, and you'll find the strength and the power behind the home run hitter is often in the legs. The waist, the twist, the hips, the legs. It's all a big part of it, more than what we might imagine. Especially if you're someone like me who is not a home run hitter.
Yeah, yeah. For those of you who are just tuning in, you're seeing an American flag on the screen, made out of Corvettes. We're having a technical difficulty. For the life of me, I can't figure out how to get this off the screen. So we figured we'd give you a break from looking at us today and just go with the screen the way it is. So you can just, not much to see when you're looking at the two of us. I can see the two of us down at the bottom of the screen. And believe you me, I think you're doing better off with the American flag. But just letting you know what's going on in case you're scratching your head going, I hear voices, but I don't see them.
If you were to go to your right, Vinny, there's a little the other way. If you go the other way, you can find your there. I see you. Can you see it on the monitor?
No, you know what? My
I see
for
you.
some reason, mine's opposite.
Oh, I see. Okay, well,
So
no, I don't have.
that's why when I always point to you, I point the opposite way because now I can see me, but I don't Mikey. I just like it better with two microphones and
microphone and two turntables.
yeah, there's something about the all of this video stuff. I'm not a video guy. I don't think. Maybe I am, and I don't know it. I mean, I've done video and I do video, but
I've done video and I do video, but I'm not a video guy.
I'm not a video guy. I don't know how that all works out, but anyway, the game last night, it was watchable. It was fun. I there's two things I don't like. I don't like the uniform. I liked it better when the teams played in each individual team's uniform.
Correct.
I don't like this American League and National. The only thing they're doing it for is to sell jerseys or T-shirts. I think that.
My God, the Giants hat was like an off lime green. It was a pitiful color, a color that does not appear in nature except very early in the spring.
Yeah, I think these colors represent Seattle. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I haven't been in an REI in a long time, but you walk into an REI, and I wonder what you would find in those particular colors. But Nike pays them a whole bunch of money to ruin their uniforms. And I got to be honest with you, the National League uniforms look like they were made by what's the company with the monkey, Sweetor, is it, or what's the work clothes company?
Oh, you mean with the gorilla on the?
Yeah, with the gorilla.
Can't bust them.
Yeah, I mean, the uniforms look like they belonged on a bread delivery guy. or on a gas
Yeah,
station attendant.
yeah. They look that cheap.
Yeah, not just cheap. No, not cheap. They just didn't look like baseball uniforms. I mean, the white pants, the American League uniforms, looked a little bit more like baseball uniforms. But the National League uniforms, to me, they looked like they were playing in their street clothes.
Can you imagine the designer saying, "Now, do you want these uniforms to look like uniforms, or shall we go for another look?" Yeah, show me what a uniform would look like if it wasn't a uniform. Let's see
Uh,
what that would be.
Well, I just think these uniforms, the uniforms are garish. I just don't. Maybe I'm picayune about it, but I just don't. I don't like them. I like traditional baseball uniforms. That
And it's a thrill to see all those different teams with their home jerseys and their travel jerseys taking the field.
Yeah, yeah. Now, if you want to give them a different pair of pants or something, but I always liked the idea that that there was something about and there was something about all the teams together in the dugout in one place that looked cool. It was always cool to me to see, you look down, you see the Braves uniform, and you see the Mets uniform, and you see the Yankees, and the Angels and the Red Sox in the same dugout. It just always looked very cool to me. It was one of the things I really enjoyed when they introduced them at the beginning of the game, and they all were standing there in their different teams' uniforms. It represented um, the coming together of baseball. And now it just looks like these guys could be anybody. You were there to represent your team, but you lose your team identity with these uniforms.
It's a fact. And it's so easy to fix. Stop using stupid uniforms that don't look like uniforms. Stop making them look like bread delivery people. Let them wear their own home or visiting uniforms, as the case may be. I guess it would have been National League would have worn their road
Hey,
uniforms last night,
Grace.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm a traditionalist when it comes to uniforms. There's something about that. There's something about a guy rounding second to run to third in a baseball uniform, where the looseness of the jersey in the back is kind of flapping a little bit, and you see that the pants are kind of puffing a little bit as he's running. The air is getting into him, and it just there's something so romantic and so poetic about it.
I want
You
to
know, and
salute who played for the Mets last night, and how did they go?
Pete Alonso
Oh God,
played
he's a hitter.
for the Mets. I think he might have been. I think there might have been a pitcher that was there too that I don't remember, but I know Pete Alonso was there for the Mets. He got beat by Julio Rodriguez. And listen, there was a great moment at the end of the game where Julio Rodriguez, could have sent the city crazy by hitting a base hit and tying the game, or hitting a home run and winning the game. He's at bat with one out in the bottom of the ninth, and there's a runner on in a one-run game. So he would have, that would have been like the ordered. I mean, they couldn't have ordered a better moment than that. But he walked against Kimbrel, the fine Phillies closer, and then if Kimbrel eventually got the next hitter out. But it was. There was a moment there where that moment, and maybe to me that was the most exciting moment of the game. Is sitting there and hoping that Julio pops one in a year that he could use a little a little
Little
encouragement,
recognition. Yeah.
something good to happen. And then the Mariners' other representative was George Kirby. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, the Giants sent two pitchers, closer Camilo Duval, who threw a pitch at 101.2 miles an hour, which, by the way, was a strike three, and Alex Cobb, who's also a reliever. He pitched a shutout inning. So the Giants pitchers comported themselves with respect for the game and a good outing on the mound for both Duval and Cobb.
Yes, and now we get now we get to everybody packs up and goes home. The homeless people can go back to south of the dome.
And you know
And
what you can't say anymore, right? You know what is a phrase that you can no longer use regarding the positive aspects of your team. It's no longer early. You can't say it's early
yeah,
anymore.
yeah, it's early. It's now headed toward the trading. This is the time that that you have to make decisions. Are you in or are you out? Are you making a move to make your club better this year for the stretch run? Or are you just going to stand pat, go with what you got, and, see what happens from there? It
I
was,
I think the Giants are primed to make a move. I can't tell you what they're going to do. That usually they've been investing in pitching in all their drafts and including this draft. But they could use some pop, and there's a third baseman available with the Cardinals. But I don't know if the Giants are going to make pull the trigger for a real player or not.
well, it becomes how much do you believe that you can win this year? Now, the new format allows more teams into the playoffs. And as we always say, if you have pitching, especially,
Yep.
um, the good things can happen to you in that playoff game, playoff series, that first playoff series. But as we saw last year with the Mariners, the pitching is not enough. It's great to have incredible pitchers go out there, but if you can't score a damn run, um,
Or just by habit, don't score runs, which is it's something that happens to teams that drives
yeah,
me quite mad. But the Mariners and the Giants sometimes are in that category.
yeah, I mean, last year the playoff game here where they I mean I forget how many innings uh it won it, but it was extra innings and nobody could score, and it was a great pitching duel, but and both staffs, the Astros and the Mariners, showed off their mettle, but um, it seemed like nobody wanted to win the game, and the Mariners have a
Well,
bad habit going
yeah.
forward of leaving runners in places like third base with nobody out,
Where'd you leave that
and
runner? I
and
think I left him at third base.
left them at third base. And it's a habit that they have to correct. And I don't know what is going to correct it for them.
Here's something that hasn't happened in years. You saw the New York Yankees fire their hitting instructor, their hitting coach, and because the team wasn't hitting, and they were saying, "You're the coach. What's going on here?" He didn't have a sufficient answer to save his neck, so he's gone, and they got somebody else in there. It's something that we don't see often enough, Vinny, where the team that can't hit or doesn't score runs or is not able to drive in men on base, blame it on somebody. And as long as it's an accurate blame, I don't mind that. But just firing the hitting coach because, or is it the hitching coach?
Well, yeah, it could be the hitching coach
It
too.
could be the hitching coach, but I think it's
Well,
the hitting coach.
Michael, I mean, really, I mean, not for nothing here, but a hitting coach on the Yankees. I mean, it almost sounds like an oxymoron. I mean, if you're on the Yankees, you got to pretty much take it for granted that you already know how to hit.
Or knew how to hit before they acquired you.
Yeah, that you know, you're not a hitting coach on the Yankees. Basically, if you're a hitting coach on the Yankees, you had a pitch batting practice. Um, by the time you make it to the Yankees, you better damn well know how to hit. I mean, I don't like the Yankees. I hate the Yankees, but I give them credit where their credit's due. They don't go out and get players that don't know how to hit and need a coach to show them, how to hit a baseball. And I know the pitching coach does more than that, and it's video, and it's this and that, and the other thing they pick up. But I think the hitting coach is inconsequential when it comes to the to the Yankees hitting woes.
What about the idea of analyzing the at bat on video to the point of helping the batter regain his form if indeed he's lost his form?
Oh
Or
yeah, I think that that's a thing. But again, I think in many places, many times the hitters analyze that. I don't know if they analyzed that with the hitting coach or not. I didn't think. I know on the Mariners they didn't. They had an excellent guy uh, that for was the video guy for the Mariners for many years, Carl, and he probably knew more about hitting than any of the hitting coaches they had, except maybe for Edgar Martinez and Paul Molitor. Uh, but Molitor, was the hitting coach of the Mariners, and they didn't hit any better. I mean, the guy's one of the best hitters ever to hit in a baseball game.
apparently he could not pass along his tips convincingly to the batters on that team.
Well, but I think the video is a tool. Is a great tool because guys now run into that room. That video room is just right off the dugout. So during a game, a guy can go in there and look at his last at bat
Yep.
and say, okay, this guy is doing this guy is doing that, he's doing this, he's doing that, I'm doing this, I'm holding the bat here. He can go through his at bat and look at, what the pitcher is doing to him and what he's not doing, so he can hit that ball. Now, I don't know that helps a lot. I don't even know if that's information overload.
How about being able to reference the last time you faced that pitcher and what he opened with? He always throws a slider to start the count. He always throws a fastball low and away. He always starts you out in the same way. Here's the last 3 times you faced this guy.
Right. Well, that's
Look
what
for
they do in the clubhouse. And, these days now, you can, it's become so advanced. I know in the old days, you would go in the clubhouse early and Carl would put a package together for each of the hitters that wanted one that showed his last at bats against that pitcher, and you could sit at his locker and they run it on the screen in the clubhouse. Now you can get it on your phone. You can probably look at it on your phone and see what's going on. But in years gone by, that's how they did it, and that's been around for a long time. There were some people that even said that was cheating. That looking at a video during the game was cheating because you could see the catcher's signals.
Well, I don't think that's cheating. I think that's just prep. That doesn't bother me. What bothers me is leaving a man at third base. Which would you rather have?
Um, well, I never want to leave a man at third base.
Did you go to the game, or do you know someone who did? Was it well
Yeah, I
attended?
know somebody that did,
Great.
and I mean, I know more than somebody. I mean, I know a bunch of people that went to the game. I did not go to the game. I did not go to any of the All Star activities this week. I did, I I don't know. It's funny that I just I guess maybe in some ways I was just waiting for somebody to invite me. I was
Yeah.
waiting for maybe the Mariners to send me a message and say, hey, you know what? We're putting it was nice that they had all the 2001 All Stars there. Uh, you, you know, to to go back 20 whatever years it is. Um,
Jay
but
Buhner.
yeah, Buhner was there. Charlton. I talked to Norm Charlton. Um, we've remained friends all these years, Norm and I, and he's a great guy. We don't see things the same politically, but I never let that get in the way of a friendship. Which is how it used to be, if you remember. Used to be, okay.
I'm trying to remember that, Vinny, but it's fading away.
It used to be like that. Remember, Michael, if you didn't agree with somebody, um, you left politics outside and you talked about baseball. That was the great thing about baseball is people of all different religions and subscriptions to theories and everything else would come together at a baseball game, and everybody would be happy because baseball was going on. It was the elixir of the masses. It made
Okay.
people, and that seems to be. I'm surprised we don't have a Republican and a Democratic section at the baseball games. But
We do. The Republican section is called the Steve Garvey Pavilion, and the Democratic section is dedicated to Roberto Clemente.
well, as I said this morning, Michael, and I truly believe this. The All Star Game is great. I've now experienced seeing two of them here in Seattle. Of the three that were here, uh, the 2001 All Star Game was special because it was a special year for the Mariners. It was it was kind of the last vestiges of our before we lost a lot of our freedom. Little did we know, a month and change later, September 11th would happen, and the world would never be the same. And you know something, Michael? I gotta be honest with you. I really, really missed Dave Niehaus yesterday.
Hmm. Yeah.
I thought a lot about Dave, and he was such a part of that All Star game in 2000, such a part of his team for so long, and I missed Dave. I really thought about Dave a lot yesterday, and I was hoping that his family got to go to the game and that they were invited there for uh, the activities and so on and so forth. I don't know if they gave his statue out there any play, but I was just I just had a day where I was missing Dave. You know, uh, he was just so much of a part of this team and so much a part of the fabric of baseball here, and such a good guy personally to me when we worked together, that it was really kind of it was a sad note. I wish you would have been here to see everything. But that being said, Michael, if you think the All Star game is cool, I will still say to each and every person in Seattle, you ain't seen nothing until you've seen a city involved in the throes of a World Series.
Yeah. That's pretty crazy.
That as good as the All-Star game is, and as good as all of the things that that go around at the exhibitions and all of the fan fest and all of that stuff that they have around it, the World Series still excites a city like no other sport I've ever seen.
Did you see the pitch that the city of Seattle made for Shohei Ohtani?
Yeah, yeah, you know, listen, it's going to be a thing like Ichiro. He's going to come here because people in Japan think it's the best thing for him to do. That there's Japanese ownership on this team, and that's going to be the connection. Um, it'll be a very similar situation to Ichiro. They'll have to come up with a ton of money. He'll have to feel comfortable here, and they're going to have to beat out. Listen, half the teams in baseball think that they're going to get Ohtani.
Half the teams in baseball, well, all the teams in baseball covet him. How many can make the deal, though?
Well, that's it. But still, and the fan bases of all the teams think they're
Yeah.
going to get him.
Interesting.
So,
I don't know how many two-way players you can mention besides Shohei Ohtani, but the Giants, with their first pick, took an 18-year-old kid who's a two-way player. He's 6'7", 240, 18 years old. His name is Bryce Godking or something like that. Pitcher, batter, first baseman, and power hitter. The kid does not look 18, but he's got admitted, I think, to Arizona State for baseball. Don't know if he's going to go into the minor leagues for the Giants or pursue a collegiate career first. But his size, his age, and his accomplishments to date are secondary to the fact that he is now what is considered to be a new position, a two-way player, someone who has the ability to do more than one thing, and usually that includes pitching and power hitting. That's the combination.
Yeah.
And for years, we were taught that for some reason pitchers couldn't hit. Well, they couldn't hit. I don't know what the reason was. We didn't have to believe it. It was proven to us every time they went to bat. Some pitchers could hit, and some pitchers hadn't a clue. But now the two-way player features a starting pitcher who can hit for power. That's an interesting combination that baseball now is selecting for and drafting as a result of the success of Ohtani. They know that it can be done, that it can be managed. And remember, Ohtani has already had one surgery with the Angels. He hurt his arm in the first year and had to have it repaired. Not only did he come back, but he came back with great strength and a full recovery.
I was going to say, it don't look like it hurt him.
It's fascinating that he's been through that much already. I only mention that because it puts a special strain on the arm and on the body to play both ways like that. And Otani's been equal to it, minus the surgery that he's had on his pitching arm. But this is going to be something we're going to watch for. I don't know if the Mets have a two-way player, but I bet they
Michael, I don't see it being a big thing. I mean, I think that if somebody can do it, there have been guys that have come up, but they were who came up as pitchers. Wasn't John Olerud a pitcher at Washington State? So guys have come through as pitchers, but then switched positions for whatever reason because they were better with the bat. I mean, I think it's a neat thing to see. I don't know that it's going to become a thing.
You make a good point, Vinnie, because in the last paragraph of the story about this draft position, they say, we're going to see if he can play right field. Oh, that. Yeah. Now that makes sense.
And with the money you have to pay pitchers today, with the money you have to invest in a good pitcher, and the specialization that you see in pitching now, where a guy doesn't go, 100 pitches and they shut him down. You pretty much. I don't know that you're going to send somebody out there to hit on his off days. I think you want them to get out there and get rested. And if a guy's a really good pitcher, you want him to get hurt. Again, Ohtani, I think, is a special case. And it'll be interesting to see if other teams follow suit, to bring in these kinds of players and find them. But I'm just not sure that it's going to become a huge thing in baseball. I think it'll be an oddity. I think you'll see, some teams will do it, some teams won't. And I think in the minor leagues, you got to be one of the things that I think that you have to be a very intelligent player to do that. Your mind has to be special. You have to be able to compartmentalize your hitting and your pitching, because the dynamics of both are so different.
Yep.
That's probably why pitchers didn't hit well, because they're concentrating much more on their pitching and what they have to do, come up with game plans and how to pitch people and stuff like that. An outfielder, maybe he's got to remember how to play somebody, what their tendencies are. Maybe he's looking at a computer printout now to see where they hit the ball the predominant amount of times. But a pitcher has to plan every pitch out. Has to plan out every pitch. They have to come in with a game plan. They have to, I think there's a lot to be said for the guy who's pitching sitting on the bench the day before and charting the pitches like they used to do because he learns the tendencies of the other team a bit more. And then you have to go up and you have to remember everything about hitting on top of it. I think you got to be a very intelligent person to do that. Just my opinion. I don't know if people will. I mean, maybe the one thing we see in baseball and in all sports is once somebody does something successfully, 9 million other people are going to try it, and there's no doubt in anybody's mind that Ohtani is successful.
Well, if you recall, even the Angels, his own team, were not convinced that he was going to be a starting pitcher and a regular batter, DH, or whatever the case may be. They mentioned first base, hopefully. But Ohtani was saying, this is where my career is based. I've done this in Japan. I can do it here. Now he's proven himself, so it opens the realm of possibility for other teams to find someone like that. But there isn't somebody like that out there. There may be two-way players like the one we just talked about being drafted that are 18 years old and trying to capitalize on Ohtani's breakthrough. But in all of baseball, and it's a long, storied history, we haven't seen somebody be able to do both as Ohtani has. So there is no one to compare him to, and no one can be as yet compared to him. He lives in a world all of his own creation. And the thing that's the most amazing about Ohtani to me is his home run swing. Vinny, there's nobody in baseball that swings like that. He has that high, lilting uppercut, and it's like a tennis backstroke or something. It doesn't look like a baseball swing. It's different from anybody else I've ever seen swing the bat. And you can see that swing in highlights and know it's him from a mile away. I don't know anyone who swings the bat that way. His physical approach to putting the bat on the ball is just so distinctive. I've never seen anybody swing that way.
Yeah, he's got a great swing.
I'd like to see him in Giants uniform, but I don't know who the Giants are going to have to convince to make him come there.
No,
I think he'll stay on the West Coast.
Yeah, probably. Unless the Yankees throw all sorts of money at him.
Well, that's what I'm expecting. Aren't you?
Yeah, I think there's going to be a bidding. I think there's probably 5 teams that have a realistic shot at maybe 6 that have a realistic shot at getting him, and everybody's forgetting that maybe he'll re-sign with the Angels.
No.
Poor
Poor Mike Trout is hurt again, and the look on his face was, I can't believe this is happening to me again. We're losing Ohtani. He knows he's gone. He knows he's stuck with the contract. For a guy with so much talent, he can't buy his way into a playoff game. And the Angels are not a winning team, nor are they going to be one with their current ownership. They need a makeover if they're going to be a realistic contender.
Yeah, I think. I mean, the 5 teams that I could see, in the sweepstakes for him would be the Yankees, the Mets, the Mariners, the Dodgers.
That's about it.
I mean, that would be a pretty big coup for the Dodgers to have him just move, a few miles up the freeway. And that gives him just about everything that he probably would want. It gives him the West Coast. It gives him the nice weather. It gives him
A real shot.
a beautiful ballpark to play in, a traditional ballpark, and I think those 4 or 5 clubs are the you know are the realistic, I think, contenders for him. I mean, maybe Atlanta.
Well,
I mean, the
they have a
Braves
good
have come
team.
up with, and they have a great team, and he's a guy that would make that team a much better team in a short amount of time, like when he shows up.
Like when he shows up, exactly. I'm here. You're here. Thank you. We're better.
Yeah, he would make that team. I mean, if there's a team he would fit in, uh, better than anywhere else. I mean, if I'm Otani, I want to go to a place where I'm going to be the main guy anyway. I'm going to be the big, I'm going to be the guy that they're writing about anyway. But I want to have a good supporting cast around because I want to get to the World Series.
Which means you have to have a pitching staff in place.
Which I want to have a good pitching staff, and I don't want to be the guy that everybody's relying on to hit home runs and win every game, which is basically what's now happening in Anaheim. Um, so if you look at it from that perspective, the Braves become a really interesting place for him to go.
I know he doesn't speak English that well, but I wonder if he got any hits from meeting all so many stars in one place yesterday, to the extent that he could maybe make up his mind or be interested in another team through what he learned at the All-Star game.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he sees all of those guys all around the league. That yeah, they certainly get to fraternize and talk in the lock in the clubhouse and at the team hotel and that kind of stuff. But I don't know. I think that it's a decision that's going to be made. You know, what team will get him to where he wants to go the quickest? Because how old is he? I forget now. Is he?
He's 29, I think.
Yeah, I was thinking 30, 31. But so, I mean, this contract, if he signs a good long contract, I mean, that's where he's going to, that's the team that he's probably going to have to get to the World Series with.
Yep. He's got to make a decision. If his goal is the World Series, then he's making a decision for his career right here.
Yeah. And I mean, I would have to think that his goal is the World Series. Who is his agent? Do you remember offhand?
I was just going to ask you, but I'll bet it's because I don't know. I think it's probably a Japanese agent. I don't know that for a fact. I hope it's not Scott Boras.
Nez Balelo.
Don't know him.
Yeah, I don't.
He must be someone who knows international players.
Yeah, this was back in. Yeah, Nez Balelo. I don't know much about him.
Never heard that name.
Just looking to quickly see. Yeah, and it's interesting. Well, he works for CAA Sports, and he says he is open to negotiating an extension with the Angels. Now, this was back in February, and according to this article, he's going to be looking in the neighborhood of $500 million.
Yeah, he'll be the first 500 million man, and that's going to be a hard figure. I mean, if you open up negotiations by saying, "Well, how about 3?" you're not gonna be getting anywhere. This is a cash and carry business. I know you want 5, but we're willing to go as high as 2.7. What do you say?
Yeah, it will be it will be interesting to watch. It'll be a great. Um, I mean, it's going to be the story of the offseason, unless, of course, the Angels. Does Otani have a no trade clause?
Probably.
Yeah, I would think so. I would think that he's got some kind of no trade. And
I would like to know the footwork that led him to the Angels in the first place, because it never made sense to me, and it still doesn't.
well, didn't they do a post deal where they compete and then they have to post. They have to pay the team that he was on in Japan a ton of money, and then they get only the right to negotiate with them.
Probably something like that. Yes.
Yeah, I think that's the way that they come over is you post it.
And of
So
course, everyone said a two-way player. We don't want anything to do with that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's supposed to be great. No way. We're not doing it.
well, it'll be it's definitely going to be the story, until he shines,
Till he finds a home.
until he finds a home. I don't. Artie Moreno, I guess, was gonna sell the Angels and then
Took him off the market.
took them off the market. So I wonder what that dynamic is.
I think it was because there was a number of questionable financial transactions within the company. He was under investigation with the district attorney in Orange County. He's got some legal problems that are not going to go away. So he wanted to keep the team as an asset in case he had to liquidate. And the impression I got was Artie Moreno, to no one's surprise, is not a straight shooter and is being looked into for his business practices by the authorities.
Huh.
Speaking of the authorities, guess who got let out of prison yesterday?
One of the Manson gang, huh?
Leslie Van Houten.
Wow, how'd you like to be the apartment manager where she shows up for a?
Well, we've already seen what happens when she does show up at your apartment.
It's nothing to laugh at, but yeah, you're.
Leslie and her
Well,
crew killed 7 people on 2 different nights in Hollywood in 1969. Her
yes,
part was to hold down the Marianne LaBianca while Tex, what's his name, stabbed her to death. Leslie was good at holding you down when somebody else took your life.
yeah. I, it, I'm shocked that they let any of them out. To be honest with you,
You may remember, but they were sentenced to death, and their
right?
sentences, their sentences were commuted. And then Jerry Brown refused to let her out of prison. Then Gavin Newsom refused to let her out of prison. Then the prison board said she served her time. She's been a good prisoner. There's no reason to keep her in prison anymore. And Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, did not challenge that decision as it came down a couple months ago. And she's out, 73 years old. But don't let her have a steak knife, is my advice, Vinnie.
Yeah,
Whatever, maybe a butter knife, no steak knife.
yeah. I mean, I guess she'll have a book deal or something, or she'll make the rounds of the talk. I don't, I don't know what. I'm sure that there are people who will pay her for telling them her story, her part in that whole thing, because here we are 50 something years later, and this country is still fascinated by those murders.
Helter skelter.
It's always, since they happen, it's been, books. I mean, people, it's been an industry for people who are somewhat associated with it, or associated with Manson, or was the real estate agent, or the district attorney, or The cop directing traffic outside the house, the mortuary wagon driver. I mean, everybody has a book.
A friend of mine, a drummer named Mike Kowalski, played with the Beach Boys for 36 years. And they were rehearsing in Hollywood when Manson and the girls came by to visit Dennis Wilson and watch the rehearsal and sort of mill around and didn't say anything to anybody. They were all just hangers on. But it was Manson's frustration with the Hollywood music business that led him to try to start a race war, committing the murders that got him in prison, to make them look like they were done by black nationalists. And that's why the messages that were written on the wall were designed to mislead the police.
Right.
But that would be a freaky realization to know you were in the same room as Charles Manson and the gang while they were trying to befriend Dennis Wilson.
And it would be a freaky realization to realize that you pumped gas into their car.
Yeah. Anything.
Any kind of contact with those people would be would give me the willies.
2 towns over from Pasadena is a place called Monrovia, and sometimes known as the world headquarters for Trader Joe's. But it was the high school of Leslie Van Houten, who grew up in a suburban LA neighborhood that was a relatively nice neighborhood. She was described as a rebellious teen who took a lot of LSD and hung out in Hollywood and obviously got mixed up with the wrong crowd. But what motivated her to not just hang out with Charles Manson, but to accompany him on his deeds has never really fully been explained. They just did it. They didn't have experience as murderers, as killers, as capital crime committers. They were kids. They were 1969, the year that's the summer of love. They should have been having fun, but instead they were hanging with Charlie and learning new skills. And
he was a whack job extraordinaire.
Yeah.
I don't know what his, he was one of those people that I don't know. You didn't want to. You certainly didn't want to live next door to him.
And it's always a bad sign when you say, Charlie, what's the deal with you? And he says, oh, I'm Jesus Christ. Oh, that's what your thing is.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't know. How are we supposed to know? Okay, we'll call you Jesus from now on. Where are we going? Going over to Sharon Tate's. You're driving.
Yeah, it's it's a sad chapter in California history and in American history, and it's one of those things where you just wonder to yourself, how did these people, what was the logic behind it? What was besides to start a race war,
frustrated show business dreams, Vinnie. You know how those go.
Yeah. Yeah, I know how they go, but I don't show up at somebody's house and slice them to death.
You know whose house that was? That was Terry Melcher's house before the Tates and Roman Polanski moved in.
Did they knock that house down, or is it still up?
That I couldn't tell you. I someone should have torn it down by now, but it's L.A. Who knows? If it's on the market, I'm sure people say, "Oh, this is the Sharon Tate Memorial bedroom."
Yeah, I wonder if they tore it down. For some reason, I don't think so. Now that I'm thinking about it, I think I might have seen a documentary that said it was still up. There was some. I was watching some documentary and they were showing. Maybe maybe I had my murders mixed up too. There was I don't know exactly, but
I remember when that happened. I was living in Pasadena, and a friend of mine was in the cosmetic business, and he was downtown all the time, and he said that the business community was freaked out. This was like a new chapter in LA. This was a seedy, ugly side to the city that people hoped it no longer existed. That was part of another time, another reality. That LA had progressed to the point where murders of this sort were a thing of the past. But there was a seedy, slimy, unsolved show business murder that was that shut down the town. It freaked people out. They were, and
Yeah,
they didn't know how to react to it.
yeah. I mean, obviously, it would have been, it was a horrible thing because of the magnitude of it and who was killed and everything like that. And I mean, but it always seemed, looking at it from the East Coast, it always seemed like there was strange murders going on in California. It always seemed like there was weird stuff going on out there.
Guilty as charged, Vinnie. It's our trademark. Weird shit.
Yeah, it was just, it always just seemed.
That's why I'm so disappointed. The Emmy nominations came out this morning, and my favorite show received no Emmy nominations.
Yeah, which show is that?
The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch.
On
the History Channel.
Did no nominations at all, huh?
None whatsoever. Well, it's a reality show about anomalies on this ranch in Utah that cannot be explained by science. So it's a difficult category. Do you have any anomalies? No, we don't.
So I'm gonna.
Candace
Bergen lived in that house too.
We have Adult Swim. That's about all I can offer you. Next case.
Yes, Candace Bergen lived in that house with Terry Melcher.
Did she really?
Yep.
Terry Melcher was the producer for Paul Revere and the Raiders, the Byrds. He worked with the Beach Boys to some extent.
Yeah, he was kind of the Laurel Canyon guy.
You're right. And he was. That's who Manson was looking for that night. He wanted the influential producer to pay for, I guess, blowing him off. Who knows? Terry Melcher was hard to find after that for a while.
Yeah, I would have been too. But you could regularly find Candace Bergen, so I guess if you really wanted to get to her. That's interesting. It's yeah. I mean, it's what am I trying to say here? I'm stumped for words in a second. It's just such a horrific act.
I know
that
so senseless.
I hope that she doesn't get a book deal. I know she will. Somehow, some way, she'll make some money off of this. Which she'll become a Fox anchor. Can show you how to get around it.
Yeah.
I just hope that she doesn't. For once, I would just love to see people like say, you know what, we're just not interested in what you felt the day you went and slaughtered these people. We don't care. There's going to be no big payday for you. There's no.
She's still got that
about your book. We don't care about your article. We don't care about about any of it. Just go find a hole, crawl in it. Nobody should rent you an apartment. You should have to live next to the Bonneville salt flats for the rest of your life.
We don't know where. They didn't release a locality. I don't know if she's going to live in Loma Vista or Atascadero or Tracy, California. I don't know where she's going to go. But somebody's going to be very surprised when they walk down the street and there's Leslie Van Houten walking her alligator.
Yeah.
That's going to be it's going to be a shocker. And she still has that far away look in her eye, if you know what I mean.
Does she? Who was the other one I was trying to get at? Was it Squeaky Fromm?
Yep.
She's the other one that always comes up for parole, right? The woman who tried to
Yeah.
kill President Ford.
I don't know what happened with Tex Atkins. I guess I don't know if he's still in prison. I didn't go through the whole list of all the family members, but I think for the most part, they passed on. They're no longer on the payroll.
Yeah, unfortunately, the people of the state of California paid to keep him alive for how many years?
3 squares and a cot is what she got.
And hospital bills paid and everything else.
Free dental care in the state of California.
Yeah, I can't get my teeth fixed, but Leslie got implants. It's amazing, absolutely amazing. Well, before we go,
Yes.
did you happen to catch the interview with Tommy Tuberville the other night with Caitlin Collins on CNN?
It's fascinating what that boy don't know.
Is there a dumber stick of shit in the world
Nope.
than Tommy Tuberville? I mean, just when you think that it can't get any dumber, it does. It gets dumber.
James Carville said he is exactly as stupid as he looks. Now there's a cracker. You want a cracker? There is a cracker.
Yeah.
No, that's Coach Tommy calling for me. Tell him I'm on another call.
And the funniest part of the interview, and I know there's really not much funny about it, but the weirdest part of the interview was he starts saying, "Well, I'm a football coach."
Yeah, what do I know?
Yeah, all these kids come to Coach Tommy. It's like, you dumb you know, Alabama should gets what it deserves. It should get what it deserves for electing that idiot. I didn't have much respect for him when he was a football coach, and I certainly have less.
He was a putz. And not only that, not only was he a bad coach, but he's taken a position that he qualifies as he's going to stick it out no matter the harm. Now, there's an interesting point of view. I'm going to do something, and I'm going to do it no matter who is harmed by it, no matter what is affected by it, no matter what the long-term problems may be. I'm going to do it.
Yeah, I don't care. I don't care who it hurts. And I mean, she was Caitlin Collins, to her credit. I mean, she was tough with him. You know, she didn't let the the whole white supremacist thing. I mean, how in the world can you say, do you believe that white supremacists are good Americans?
Because all the Republicans he knows are white supremacists, and he's just assuming that's what a good American looks like.
Oh man, it was.
If you're hanging with the people that Tommy hangs with, you think he's hanging around with black running backs who used to play for him? I don't think so.
Yeah, no, I don't think so either. No, I think he he looks to me just like exactly what you would think he would be.
There's a cracker.
He looks like uh like a guy who, it's hard to call him racist because he'll go to a dinner with a black person. He'll talk to him and he'll do this and do that. But in his heart, he's looking at them and calling them the N-word, while he's looking at him. And I don't profess to know what's in somebody's heart, but you can see it in his eyes. He reminds me of Barry Switzer.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Remember Barry Switzer just had that look about him, that I don't like you look, Yankee. You know, if they weren't a football coach, they'd be a cop pulling cars off with New York plates on I-95.
Tommy is going to get himself into some hot water. Mitch McConnell is going to have to talk to him. And Tommy's not going to understand the strategy that Mitch is putting forth because he can't. He'd like to, but he just can't.
I don't think Tommy's gonna understand how to get to Mitch McConnell's office.
They have flares. You just follow the flares.
I mean, they're going to have to send somebody to get him.
Somebody to get him. Coach, you're going to have to come with me now. Where are we going?
Well, last time we called
just
for
a
you, it
couple
took you
doors
2
down.
days to get here. So I'll send one of my aides up to get you.
I'd like to start the Hang Tommy Tuberville project. I know the last one didn't turn out that well, but it got a lot of publicity. So let's hang Tommy Tuberville.
These are the best 100 men that this country could come up with in the Senate.
Do you think that man ever adjusted his offense at halftime ever in his life? I don't believe.
No, he's Tommy Tuberville. He doesn't have to.
I'm keeping it this way, no matter the harm.
And you know that there are hundreds of young men who will stand up for him and say he was the best thing that ever happened to me. Coach Tuberville showed me how to live life.
Well, right now there's no commandant for the Marine Corps, and it's his fault. So if you want to get the Marines on your back, well, that's how to get them on. I can't tell you how to get them off. That's going to be a tough one. Extracting the Marines from Tommy Tuberville's neck, that's going to be difficult. That's next.
Yeah, and he just and when she pressed him, when Caitlin Collins pressed him, he was just like, they could get approved anytime they want. They just have to come up and see me. So in other words, you've been a senator for a year.
Not even
a year, and you think that the commandant of the Marine Corps needs to come and grovel at your feet. What an inflated sense of self-worth.
Well, that just shows you that he doesn't know much about the Marines. They didn't make their bones by groveling anywhere.
Yeah, they ought to. Well, they ought to send a couple of Marines up to see him.
Make it 20. They don't have anything to do today. Make it 20 Marines, and if the door's locked, I know a way in.
Drag him out by his freaking wig.
Drag him out, no matter the harm. That's all. That's what I say.
Yeah, take him. If you pull him down the stairs, don't take the elevator. Pull him down the stairs, and maybe you can, while you're in there, you go to the other side of the building and grab George Santos on the way out.
By the cuff of his trousers, he was dragged downstairs, and it all became instantly clear in his mind what he had to do. I'm voting just the way you boys said I should. You're darn right. I can't believe I waited so long.
It was all just a big misunderstanding.
That was just me being Tommy. You know me. Let's go down a couple more flights, Tommy, because we're enjoying this more than you are.
Yeah, I'm a good old boy, and I want you to be good old boys too.
That's where Leslie Van Houten should go. She should go see Tommy Tuberville.
There you go. Hang out with Tommy. Tommy will love to hang out with you.
Maybe he'll make grilled cheese sandwiches in his office. He's got a hot plate.
It wouldn't. I just seem to remember some kind of sexual harassment thing with him too, way back when he was coach. Didn't he get caught chasing his secretary around a desk or something?
Never did catch her.
Yeah, I seem to remember. I don't know. I have to look and see, but I seem to remember that there was some kind of incident with him, with Tommy Tuberville.
Well, Vinnie, although I didn't see you except for one moment there next to the line of Corvettes, it's been an interesting show. I want to see your face for Fractious Friday. What do you say?
I'm going to work on trying to fix this thing and see what the heck goes on. I think it's probably refreshing for our audience that they didn't see us.
No, I think the audience loved it.
Yes, we have as we've always been told, 2 faces for radio.
Can't be beat.
All right, man. I will catch up with you on Friday if the Lord's will and the creek don't rise, man.
Love that Manischewitz. What a wine.
All right, man. See you Friday. Bye-bye.